William Wetherell was born about 1625 in England. He came to New England as a cabin boy on Captain William Dunn's ship and was in Taunton, Massachusetts by 1643. In 1669, he built the first house in what became Norton on the east side of Winneconnet Pond. One historian and genealogist describes him as follows. The years embellished William's standing as a raconteur. Born in England, shipped out early as a cabin boy, one of the first settlers of Taunton, constable, juryman, colony representative, firebrand, sergeant, Indian fighter, then selectman and first settler on Taunton's northern frontier, he no doubt, his youth long spent, expanded till the lamps grew dim on his long career. William Wetherell died on November 13, 1691, and is buried in a small burial ground in Norton, Massachusetts. Chuck Wetherell is William Wetherell's 9th great-grandson and has been working with his wife, K.C., to restore the burial ground for 4 years.
My name is Chuck Wetherell. My title is retired, and I'm restoring First Burial Ground here in Norton, Massachusetts. And the way I got involved with that was I'm an amateur genealogist. My sister actually got me started in genealogy about 1970. She did a genealogical project while she was in college. In about 1985, she handed me her research, and it had us coming, had the Wetherells coming to Minnesota in 1857, but she didn't know where from. Fortunately, about 5 years later, about 1990, I discovered there was a book published about the Wetherell family called The Wetherell Family of New England, History and Genealogy of the Wetherell Family of New England. And in that book, it told about William Wetherell coming from England in 1643 aboard Captain William Dunn's ship, the Mary and John, and settling first in Taunton in 1643, and then moving to Norton, right back here about 600 feet away in 1669. He lived here until 1691 when he passed away, and he's buried in that southwest corner. He has no headstones. In colonial periods, they did not have headstones, and burials was not a big production like they are now. When I came up here in 2017, it was my quest to find the burial site of my first ancestor in America. I went to the Norton Historical Society. A gentleman there by the name of George Yell said he knew where my ancestor was buried, and he would take me out to him after the meeting, which he did. When I saw this place, I was kind of shocked because I had never seen a burial site in such poor shape. And I was going to retire in a couple of years, so I thought this would be a good retirement project. I know some guys do Corvettes, some do Mustangs. This is my retirement project.
They neglected this place ever since, I think it's the 1800s. And now my husband retired, and he said, first thing, he said, I wanted to clean up that place. That's the most messiest place in the whole world. Okay, I will help you, that messiest place.
The first thing we needed to do was clear the brush out, and we could see more of what was going on here. We cut out the trees that were doing damage. We had 3 trees that were growing around headstones, another tree that was broken off and lying on one of the headstones over there. We're just hoping that it did not break it when I cut the tree, and fortunately we were successful. Last year we spent 5 weeks doing nothing other than pulling up stubble. and because the stubble will regrow. So we had to clear out all the stubble. When we left here, we left it covered with tarps. The tarps serve the purpose of choking out the sunlight to all the vegetation down below, which was mostly poison ivy. So we wanted to choke out the poison ivy, choke out the saplings as much as we could. So we kind of like did a scorched earth thing on the surface of the burial site, killed everything off. And then this year we tilled the surface and then put rows in it with a hoe. And then the Boy Scouts and their parents and friends came over and planted vinca. And so now we've got vinca that we had planted last year kind of as an experiment to see how it would work. We're putting vinca in because it chokes out poison ivy once it fills in. It'll choke out poison ivy. It's a leafy ground cover that has runners, so it spreads along the top of the ground. The deer don't eat it, and it's very tough. You can see that this is filling in very nicely from last year, and we're really happy with how this is working out. But we have other projects going on here as well. Of the 34 granite fence posts we have, 17 of them were broken, and most of them had multiple breaks. So those were re-epoxied by the Boy Scouts last spring. But now we're going to replace the iron pipes as soon as we order them and receive them. So the iron pipes will go in hopefully the end of this year. Also in the middle, about that area, we're going to put a kiosk. And the kiosk will explain everything we know about First Burial Ground. We have a lot of people to thank for this project. You know, this isn't something that you can do on your own, but I gotta be honest, I love being here. I love being here at First Burial Ground. I love working on it. I'm always accomplishing something. I love working with my wife. We've been together, you know, almost 50 years. This is my hobby, and she puts up with me. So, you know, that's a wonderful thing, and just in and of itself.
In Korea, the ancestor, respect for one's ancestor is very
very respectful.
Very, very profound and
Yes.
important. Do you think that's part of the reason that you're so willing to help him? Because I still think you're the kindest person on the planet to come here for 4 months every year and do this.
Well, I think it's maybe my culture, Korean culture, but also Korean culture, you marry to a husband, that's you have to be there with him, hungry or full. It's either way, so we are here together.
Do you think many other people besides your husband would take on a project like this?
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's because of him. He is the most generous man.
I think Chuck he's the type of person that wants to leave something for others after he's gone. And being associated, this cemetery being associated with his family and his ancestors, my feeling is that was the way he felt he could do it. I give him all the credit in the world for the devotion and interest that he's had in doing this for people that really are in this area, and Chuck is a Florida resident, so he's really gone out of his way to improve life in this area.
For me, genealogy has just been the best hobby, you know, that I could ever come up with, and it can go off on all kinds of tangents, you know, and you meet cousins, you know, other relatives, and they'll tell you their stories, and you can figure out, you know, how they're connected and put it in a database if you want. But otherwise, you know, you're not alone in the world. You've got family, you've got cousins, you know, and they all love you. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done without family history research, and it's something I will continue to do till the day I die, I think.